apps. I mean, of course, it wasn't the first one for Bitcoin, but it was the first one with that level of impact, where so many people were so heavily invested, were losing so much. So I was happy that, you know, I was there and I experienced that, because this didn't upset me, but I was emotionally touched. And I don't know about you, Ronald, but I read yesterday this guy on Twitter who was talking to Don, you know, Don, what's his name? Don Wang? I always forget. And he said, like, oh my God, dude, all my savings were in this. And, you know, I had all my money tied up in Luna and I lost everything. And, you know, there's this one evil part of me that thinks, dude, you're an idiot. And then there's this other part of me that feels so bad for this guy, right? So
yeah, and if it's that volatile and things can just disappear overnight, then in the long run, I think it's good because if no company would ever fail, then what does that say about the whole scene? Then it's just, you know, baked air, if you would. But, you know, so seeing things fail, seeing companies and experiments fail, actually provides legitimacy to the rest. I think it's a good thing, but still, you know, it's quite drastic and unexpected. I didn't also expect it to go to 0.3 cents within 2 days.
Yeah, I was. I had people texting me going like, "Oh, did you see the Luna slaughter?" And I hadn't even seen it. I was like, I looked at it, I was like, oh my God. So yeah, but I agree with what you said about, you know, not everything can work. Not everything can always be a success. In fact, I read this week on Twitter, there's a Dutch guy called Bert Slachter, he's a Bitcoin maximalist. They have a great podcast called Satoshi Radio. I highly recommend anybody that is into crypto to listen to that if you can speak Dutch. If you can't speak Dutch, they have another crypto podcast called Connect the World, which is English. It's very, very interesting. Anyway, but Bert said, it's like a bushfire. You know, every once in a while, the lightning strikes and you get a bushfire, but it cleans away all the old stuff, all the, you know, the broken down trees, and it turns them back into minerals and back into, you know, breathing, or what would they call it, like resources or nutrients for yes.
Yeah, I really like that analogy, actually.
Exactly, I like that too. So anyway, we're going to talk about Terra, but we kind of skipped over so much product. Ronald, you've been on a show before, I think. I'm not sure. But just in case people haven't seen or heard it before, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I was on the show before in January when I just started as a product owner, product manager. And so my responsibility here is to guide the development of the product that we are building, the platform for hosting the meta spaces and the marketplace, basically everything that's on the top half of our roadmap.
So for those of you that didn't know, Ronald and me are colleagues. We both work for BeemUp. We both working on your open metaverse.
Yes, of course. And this is our office and you are at home. That's why we're talking through microphones remotely and not next to each other.
Yeah, I had to go to the physio, and this way we can also both have excellent quality camera and excellent quality microphone, so that we have an extra nice podcast recording after this one.
And you can show off your home, right? It's beautiful. Oh, yeah. I think there's a Christmas tree back there.
No, the Christmas tree is gone. Actually, I don't know if we did any episodes with my Christmas tree, but I can tell you it's a sight to behold. So this year, we'll have Christmas tree on the stream for sure.
Good. No, so and before that, I worked in a lot of other digital companies. I was there when you know, the app adoption was there for the first time with the first like iPhone launch, and I was helping make apps back then. And when the internet kind of started to get popular in 1999, I was working on a service desk to, you know, explain to people how they could dial into the internet. So I feel like this is all these revolutions, and it kind of feels the same like that. And I remembered yesterday suddenly that back in the day, back in like 1999, people called it cyberspace. Remember that?
That was after
they called it. Are you already in cyberspace? And then there were these news articles about something happening in cyberspace, and everyone was like, what is going to be the future of cyberspace? And then I suddenly realized, like, maybe what we call metaverse now is going to end up exactly like cyberspace. We call it cyberspace until we're there, and then we just call it internet.
Yeah.
Maybe the same thing is going to happen.
It's it's an interesting thing you say. Actually, I have a really funny story now. Now I remember that I need to tell it because I think everybody will find it funny. So yes, at the time, you know, they were talking about cyberspace, which was, by the way, after they called it the electronic highway, or just before. I don't know. That was also, you know, in for a while there. But I had a friend, or I still have a friend, and this guy's name is his real name is Pim. Okay, but we gamed together. We grew up being neighbors, and then I moved away, but we stayed friends, and we really did a lot of gaming in the early days of the internet. And even before that, I would go to his place, stay there for a week on a summer holiday, and we would sit next to each other behind the same PC. You remember those days when you played Wacky Wheels, and I was on the left side of the keyboard and he was on the right side? So anyway, because it was cyberspace, we both came up with these super amazing names for our game characters. This was early days, right? The first time when we were young kids, we had to come up with names. And the first names we ever came up with was Cyber Dude and Cyber Ace.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but those were interesting days, right? The first time you connect computers together and then you realize in Doom that you can actually see each other and walk around and then start hitting each other with guns, right? That was blown away for me.
Yeah, it was mind blowing. I remember that I played this game Duke Nukem 3D at some point, and then I moved over to playing with a mouse, which was the first time. Before that, I'd always moved all on the keyboard, and then I played with a mouse. And then I did a dial-up connection to a friend, and we played, and then we figured out you could fight each other, and I was just owning the shit out of him because he was still playing with his keyboard. Oh, Mark is in chat, and he says Worms co-op days. Did you ever play Worms?
Yeah. But I don't ever remember playing Worms actually on a remote line. I think it was just on the couch co-op.
Yeah, I think we mostly played Worms on LAN parties. Did you ever do LAN parties back in those days?
I was at Mega LAN 16 in Rotterdam. I don't know how long that was ago. I should look it up. But it was like in a cellar of a thing, and we went there with a rented van, and we were all in the back of the van between our big CRT monitors, and then we took a corner and things fell over us. It was...
Those monitors, man. Kids today have no idea the lengths. I'm sounding like a boomer now. I know I sound like a boomer, but kids today have no idea the lengths we went through to be able to play a game with our friend. We'd be carrying a screen that was like, I don't know, 15 kilos of glass. And then we had a desktop PC, which was just a hunk of metal, which super...
But you could use the CD-ROM drive for like a beer holder, right? You could just put it in there.
That was very useful, which reminds me, I need to go get a beer in a second. But, oh my God, chat's blowing up here. Soldier of Fortune and Diablo on LAN. Age of Empires.
Diablo.
Yeah,
Cloning
played that too.
Diablo.
Yeah, Diablo, yeah. Oh, at a friend's house in the washing room with 4 guys. This sounds like the premise for a really bad YouTube video. Yeah, those were the days. Those were the days of the first .com boom. And yeah, you might be right. Maybe we won't be calling it the Metaverse anymore in a few years from now. Maybe it'll have another name. But no matter what we're going to be calling it, it's I still believe that we're definitely in for another ride like this one, where things are really going to change for us. Which brings me to another interesting topic which we have on the agenda today. MetaMundo, the interoperable portal. Now, for those of you that have been listening or watching our show, you know that we've mentioned these guys many times before. They're also a Dutch startup company. They're in Amsterdam, and they already launched their... Oh, what's this? Somebody's calling me. Oh, cameraman. Oh, not available. They've launched what they call the Meta Portal, and they've already launched their first ever 3D NFT alongside of it. So, Ronald, maybe you can comment a little bit on why it's so important that there are projects like MetaMundo, and perhaps a bit on what they're doing.
Yeah, so the reason why I think it's important to follow what they're doing and follow what others are doing that are... go get that beer. Others are doing that are also in this space is that... What MetaMundo is releasing is portals that work in different metaverses. So the big thing about the metaverse is interoperability. You know, you need to have things that work across different experiences, across different meta spaces, across different game engines. Doesn't matter how you call it. across different vendors, you could even say. And what they promised to do and what they actually have been delivering on, according at least to the screenshots that I've seen yesterday, is they have made portals, items that you could buy. And one of the, I don't think he's here now, but one of the colleagues here also
Daniel,
has one.
Our founder,
Daniel.
our very own founder.
As a portal, and you could basically redeem that a couple days ago for an NFT on Ethereum, and that NFT had something special going on because linked to that NFT were all kinds of sub NFTs for each different game. So there's a Decentraland thing, there's a Sandbox thing. I think they're coming up with one or two other things as well. And the way they do it is that allows them to establish this portal in all these different worlds, and that is contributing significantly to interoperability, and it's a very interesting approach, and so that's why I'm quite following it quite closely.
Yeah, it's super interesting. Do you know of any other projects out there that are doing the same thing so far?
Well, not exactly like this. I did see another project today or yesterday, a tech demo where they at least showed switching avatars by, selecting other things from your wallet, but that wasn't yet cross-engine. But I did see from the way they do it that they use files that should be reusable across engines a little bit. So I'm coming from an engineering background, right? So if you talk to me, it goes quite quickly into detail, into technical stuff.
No,
so
do it, because I actually have already my next question for you, because something that I think about a lot when we're doing, our stuff, when we're talking to the companies that we talk to, and when I'm preparing these shows, is that the internet, right? The World Wide Web, the cyberspace, the electronic highway, it was built on open standards. And although what eventually evolved into the internet and social media as we know today might not be, the ideal situation as we want it in terms of, our own control over our privacy, our profiles, the companies that have the biggest clout on there. I won't mention them now, but and there's an opportunity now to change that going forward into this, metaverse future. But we don't really have any open standards for the metaverse yet, do we?
No. So the one thing that's clearly missing right now is a shared standard for how do you define items that are usable in different places. What should you what should you specify about them? Should you tell what the color is, or should you tell, is it a shoe or is it a hat, or should you just say that it goes on your feet or goes on your hand? And so how do you define that? And there are different approaches. Decentraland has a nice document about how they solve it from their side. We also have an approach, by the way, on our own Gitbook, our white paper. It's quite similar. It's all based on 3D modeling and how these rigs work. So I think it's going to come together, but there's, as far as I know, no standard yet about how to do this, unless you would see like what the game engines dictate. But there's also a couple of different game engines. So there again, there's no real standardization yet.
No. I recently read an article, or I watched a video, I think, on Roblox, and they actually recently implemented something that allows them to put different skins on basically every model, right? Because
I saw that with shrinking, that it somehow fits.
And it's super crazy, because apparently they used NASA rocket technology, which uses some kind of mathematical stuff to describe how you fit shapes. It's way beyond my I was gonna say pay grade, but it's just way outside of my field of expertise or knowledge. But it's super interesting.
It's that problem, indeed, because if you have an avatar with an alien head and you buy a hat, and then you sell the hat to your friend, and your friend looks like Pikachu, how do you make that hat look right on Pikachu while you don't ever have combined those two things before? How do you solve that? Exactly. And that's I think one of the biggest challenges. And there are some steps already getting clear. Like there's like I said, a couple of these properties that you can already see coming, and there's the GLB files, which is like a 3D model standard that's quite clearly out there. You can even already use it in your Phantom wallets and in your MetaMask wallets. They will already rotate like items. And the rest is up for grabs, I think. And I'm wondering what's happening. And then at the same time, you see companies like Ready Player Me, who basically bypass that whole problem by just putting avatars on their server and just telling everyone, it doesn't have to be decentralized. Just use our service and then download our avatar and you're done. And people just need to go to our website to customize their. And it, there's a lot of interest in that as well.
Yeah, there's loads of interest. I mean, look at the success Ready Player Me is having so far. Spatial integrated them recently as well. And of course, there's a lot to be said for something that just works if there's no obvious downside, right?
Well, I don't think it's sustainable. I think in the end, it's still stored on a server somewhere, and they're going to turn it into some kind of a business model, probably where you have to pay for every minute that you use your avatar or something like that. So at one point, I don't think I think true ownership, it needs to be on your wallet. The files need to be on decentralized file storage.
Yeah,
it needs to be yours.
Okay, and I believe that too, right? Don't get me wrong, I do. But I do ask myself the question sometimes, the fact that you and me believe in it doesn't really mean that that is necessarily what's going to happen or has to happen. I mean, at the end of the day, as we say in Dutch, Annie het assen, or Jan met de pet, or, you know, your average Joe in English, they just want something that works, right?
They want to look cool, and they want to have something that looks cool. And I don't know exactly how much Ready Player Me allows customization based on existing stuff that you have here in your wallet, right? And does it work with Solana and also with Ethereum, or only with Ethereum? I don't know exactly, to be honest. But yeah, that might be sufficient for people to just get in there. But I think the sustainable thing, the long-term thing, is mostly the open. Look back, what survives. Even the proprietary Apple phone connector is being abolished now, and what is there? What remains? It's the USB standard, which was an open standard. So I think that's the most sustainable thing, and that's the long-term thing. Yeah, and at the end of the day, storing your profile information with Ready Player Me is basically, for me, the same as storing your profile information with Facebook. And yeah.
Well, look, I feel the same, but I do worry sometimes that it's only because we're in this industry, in this technology, because we're kind of geeks that way, that we're even aware of it. I mean, one of my best friends, I mentioned him before, Mr. Cyberdude, aka Pim, you know, he is super afraid of security breach all the time. And hell, our own CEO, Legacy Lex, is afraid of security breach all the time.
You can say whatever you want.
I don't care. He knows this. But I'm not saying that wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's a good way to look at it. In fact, if anything, I'm probably too laid back about it. But the truth is that I probably represent, in that sense, and there are not a lot of ways in which I do represent, you know, most people, but in this way, I probably represent most people better, because I don't really care about that. I just want stuff to work and be fun most of the time. And I think that it's going to be very interesting to see how that thing progresses, because ultimately what drives adoption of new technology is some killer app or something that everybody wants to use, right? And so the question is, what will that be? And will that be something that promotes a decentralized metaverse? So I have another interesting way that I think maybe, you know, some of these issues, however, with avatars could be solved. So let's have a quick look at that. Maybe I'm completely wrong, because I don't always understand everything, but the world's first combinable, or composable is a different word that has been used, NFTs have been launched. And Metacore, although I'm not, so I don't really mean what that, I think that's just a platform, right? Is that the platform?
I think that's just one of the, like a gaming solution that uses these composable NFTs.
Yeah. So they're composable NFTs. And how much are you into those, Ronald? Because I think it's an extremely interesting concept.
The number 3664 got dropped a couple of weeks ago in one of the Metaverse exploring sessions, and I started diving into it. Like, oh, it sounds interesting.
3664, is this another Illuminati reference?
No, it's like the number of the proposal. All these things that change in Ethereum in the protocol level are numbered, and you have 721, you have 15. I don't know by heart. And now there's 3664. So I started reading up about it, and you know what it promises to do is that you already have a bunch of NFTs, right? So you have an ape, and you have a CryptoPunk and some other stuff. And what this promises to do is that you can combine those separate NFTs, burn them, basically get rid of them, but in return you will get a combined single item, which is the collection of all those items. And maybe you can also, you know, revert it and get them back. The nice thing about that is that it allows for curating. So for instance, your favorite artist, Taylor Swift, might have bought this special Bored Ape that looks like her, and then this and this cyberpunk, and you know, a couple of other things, and she combines them together, which is her work, and then you have a single collection curated by her. She sells that on the market, which again changes the value of the items, of course. And that unlocks a lot of new possibilities.
Okay, but wait, but now I'm starting to wonder whether I completely misunderstood it then. Because when I introduced it before, I said, here's another way that they might be able to solve the problem of avatars. And the reason I said it like that was because I thought that what this introduced was the ability to fuse different NFTs together. And so in my mind, I was thinking, what if you have one avatar on one platform and you have another avatar on a different platform and you can't actually bring them across, but you could fuse those NFTs together so it's still part of one single super profile, and so you still get the interoperability, so to speak, and the ease of frictionless access. But that's not how it works then.
No, because there's still going to be avatars on different blockchains, right? You're still going to have Solana items, and you're going to have very rich people with Ethereum wallets. So I don't think, for that matter, I think as long as you keep stuff in your wallets, there's going to be someone that creates some kind of a multi-wallet. Like MetaMask should just add Solana support, right? I mean, you have the marketplace, the OpenSea, they now add Solana support. So the next step logically is that MetaMask also does it. And then you should be able to select from different wallets, from different blockchains, whatever you want to wear and whatever you want to be that day.
So you basically, your wallet will turn into a dress call.
Yeah, I think what you're going to get, that people are going to get multiple wallets, and they have one wallet for their work outfit that they use on like Microsoft Teams of the future, and then they have one wallet that they have an identity for Saturday night. I don't know, a more funky thing, and yeah, that's probably what it's going to be like, right? And some people already have multiple wallets for multiple purposes, because wallets can also be used to basically get a lot of info about you. If you give your wallet address to someone, they can see everything you have, everything you own, everything you've done. So there's a lot of, it's nice that it's transparent, but there's also a lot of implications that come with that. So you're going to get different wallets.
It is kind of interesting, isn't it? Because in a way, if you would connect your wallet, like, because what Metacore is also advertising with is the first Metaverse identity, right? So that's their credo. So the first composable NFTs are used for that. But if you connect your wallet directly to who you really are, and you're gonna go around the metaverse with that, it's kind of like making your Google Maps history, which everybody can see, by the way, if you're using it, available to everybody. So basically, your ex-girlfriend can see, where you've been doing your cyber dating.
So if you're going to get your like an in-store, I don't know, like a hybrid concept, that one day you walk in downtown and someone asks you, hey, scan your wallet here, and then you're going to get like an airdrop. And you give your wallet, and at the same time, you also have some other information about your phone, like your MAC address or whatever that thing is emitting all day. Yeah. Then it's very easy to build profiles like that. So that's not what we're talking about now, but I think there's a big risk there for data mining kinds of things. You can mine the blockchain quite easily and then start sending people NFTs with ads. Please don't do it. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Anyone that's listening, if anyone has that idea. Don't do it.
But by the way, perhaps I should.
Composable NFTs, it's interesting because it allows for new like marketplace like market models. People could actually get a job collecting a bunch of items, combining them together, putting their stamp on it, and then reselling that, and that will have value, and that will change the value of, because the work has value. Yeah. They could earn money. There would be a job for that in the metaverse, I think.
Yeah, exactly. This is, oh man, we could go down this rabbit hole. We could. Because this is, whenever people say to me like, oh, the metaverse, artificial intelligence, it's just going to cost jobs and it's going to ruin the world. And then we talk about stuff like this and you say something like that. And I'm like, oh my God, there's so many new opportunities coming our way. So many interesting new jobs that will appear. Like, maybe there will be somebody in the future who's just busy coming up with these composable NFTs and how you can make different new combinations, or maybe they're just busy making sure that we don't get crazy combinations, God knows, or that the identities are actually true in some way. I don't know. Anyway, cool. Let's maybe not talk about all this different dangerous stuff, because you said Legacy Lex is watching and I don't want him to go into the weekend all afraid about the dangers of the metaverse. So there's let's see, what else do we have that we need to talk about today? Yes. So, Ronald, where do you live?
Utrecht. I can see my house from here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For those that don't know, our offices are in Utrecht. Okay, that's a real shame that you live in Utrecht. Well, it's not a shame that you live in Utrecht. Utrecht is very nice, okay? But some people, like myself, live in another little city in the Netherlands called Amsterdam. And I don't know if you heard this, but Amsterdam is actually going to be the first place in the world where there's going to be a real Metaverse festival. Yes, you heard that right. So some people that we know in Amsterdam are organizing MET-AMS. So AMS stands for Amsterdam. So MET-AMS is Metaverse Festival in the Netherlands. And it's a festival. And the reason I'm saying this several times is because it's definitely something different than a conference. So what do you, Ronald, what do you think of when you think of a festival?
Well, I think if you compare it to the festival of festivals, which is South by Southwest, I've been there once.
Okay, shots fired.
And no, seriously. I mean, that was an enlightening experience. Like it felt like walking in the future because everyone was there. Like all the companies that were doing like things that were completely out there and that you didn't even hear about, and they already had like working prototypes that you could play with. It was amazing. If it's going to be anything like that. If they model it like that, and that's maybe they will because they call it a festival as well, then that would be awesome. South by Southwest is and there's also a very nice music festival connected to it. So it's like work kind of things a day and then music stuff at night, which I love.
Okay, so South by Southwest is I feel ashamed not right now. I'm sure people are going to burn me for this, but I had no idea what South by Southwest was until you mentioned it just now. So Jeroen and Nicola, if you're watching, they're on my marketing team. Please make sure that we put this in the agenda for next year. Thank you.
Take me along, please.
Thank you, Ronald, for bringing that up. But yeah, festival. The description you just gave, that's exactly what I think of as well. Most of my life, I've only been to, the standard music festivals, your Lowlands here in the Netherlands, or your Burning Man if you're really international and rich, or just adventurous. I don't know. Huh?
Did you go to Burning Man?
No, I didn't. No, I'm not cool enough. Maybe one day. This week we actually spoke about going to Wasteland in the office, but I chickened out. It's a little bit too exhibitionist for me, I think. but MET-AMS. So let's get back to the topic. Lowlands. Oh, somebody in chat is like, Lowlands has public speakers too. Yes, Lowlands has public speakers too. This is true, Marky, but it's not like, it's not the main theme or anything. The music is the main theme. But MET-AMS, supposedly it's the first time, right? So let's be honest, any festival's first year is always a little bit tricky. Metaverse was a big hype. Now we're in a bear market. So I really hope that it all works out for the organization. Which is also, of course, why I'm making an effort right now to mention it here, to spread the word, because we want this to be a success. Why do we want this to be a success? Well, your Open Metaverse and BeemUp are a Dutch company. We want Amsterdam to be the Metaverse capital of the world. And of course, in the Metaverse, there's no such thing as location or distance. But still, in the physical world, we'll have places like Silicon Valley and Amsterdam where things are happening, or, there's probably something like that in China. I do apologize to the Asian people out there if I'm not aware of this. Please make me aware of what is the best city in Asia or in China for Metaverse stuff. But MET-AMS is going to be super cool. It's going to be focused on culture. It's going to be focused on the actual impact on the lives of normal people, artists, entertainers, in terms of the Metaverse. So it's not going to be extremely techy. It's not going to be only about crypto. It's not going to be somewhere where you don't want to go because there's only really boring people talking about tech stacks.
Hopefully only not about NFTs and apes, because most people are basically sick of that by now.
Exactly. So there's going to be people like Ronald and people like me, who like to fantasize about crazy new worlds and talk about, the cool stuff that comes along with it. And hopefully we'll see some really cool stuff. In fact, there's going to be one event, which I have to admit is very early days, but you heard it here first. We are working on providing a virtual concert with virtual avatars by a particularly talented Dutch young lady DJ at MET-AMS. So if you haven't put MET-AMS in your calendar yet, make sure that you do so now and make sure to be there, because it's going to be super cool. Did I forget anything, Ronald?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, me neither. It said here on my script for today, it said chill MET-AMS, so I think we did that.
That worked. I'm going, but I was already going, so.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I have to say I'm kind of through the script because we didn't have a very long episode for today. So, chat, are you out there? Is there anything you still want to talk about? What's interesting going on in the metaverse? Anything you want to know from us? This is your last chance. Speak up or be silent forever.
Until next week.
Until next week. Ronald, is there anything you still want to say to the audience? Anything I didn't say yet?
No, I think we kind of touched upon a couple of interesting topics, and it would be nice maybe to return later another time to discuss what's happening then. I mean, everything is going so fast. There's always lots of stuff to discuss. So I think that would be nice. But if the most relevant things to me are right now, like what are we going to be doing to get all these things working more together? And we should be thinking about that, and we should be collaborating on that, because if that's not happening, someone else with maybe a big social network that has a lot of communities already is just going to step forward and provide a solution that is just good enough for everyone to just work with, and then that will turn Web3 into a disaster again, right? And we don't want to redo the Web2 problem, I think.
Yeah, that's a very good one. I would like to extend that invitation, not just in the sense that, I agree with you that we should, if you're out there, if you at some point in future happen to click on the show on Spotify and you're listening to this particular episode, it's your responsibility, right? The future is ours. So if you want to have an impact on how this new virtual reality on top of our physical reality is going to look, how it's going to work, how, consensus mechanisms works, whatever, you have an opportunity to be a part of that. So take that opportunity. It's not just a chance and not just an opportunity, it's a responsibility. But I'd also like to make it very concrete. We actually, we struggle with these things all the time. And for this particular show, the State of the Metaverse, we're always looking for people to invite, to have an interesting conversation with. Now, this week, we're having a little bit of a laid-back episode. I brought Ronald on to have a nice little chat, make everything easy going. But there's many weeks to go this year. And we'd like to have most of those weeks filled with someone interesting. So if you know somebody that has something to say on the metaverse, on where we're going, whether it be positive or negative, whether they're critical or super enthusiastic, we'd love to get them on the show. So please step forward or, nominate your friends. We'll get in touch with them and we'd like to have a conversation with them. There's some questions in chat. I'll answer those. Joachim says, is your open metaverse open for music festivals itself on the platform? So yeah, absolutely. I mean, if a big festival would come forward and they'd say to us, look, we want to build a festival on your platform that we can reuse every year, but we can upgrade every year, where we can build, mind-blowing experiences, unfettered, unlimited by, normal realities or by other platforms like Decentraland or Sandbox because they have specific requirements, then yeah, of course, we're totally open for that. But
yeah,
they'll have to bring
possibilities for warm-up, right? And for cool-down parties around the real festival.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was gonna say they need to bring the Dooku to do it, but that's also true.
that's yeah, of course. But the nice thing is these 3D worlds, they don't rot. They don't rot. You don't have to write them out into a storage box and store them for 42 weeks until you can get the tents back out and let's put it back on the field.
I was gonna say, have you ever broken down a tent at a festival afterwards, or broken down any event for that matter? It's a lot of hard work. It's disgusting.
Store everything.
It costs a lot of money. If you build it in a metaverse, you can always change it, but you never have to clean it up. Which, by the way,
is concept there to get right is that you need to. I mean, I love going to festivals myself, and I'm always watching the bands and the performers, right? So this will work if it's really. And I always loved. I have this wish list. I want to go to Primavera Sound, and I never did because it's in Barcelona. Somehow it just never happens. But I would love to just go to a digital version of something around Primavera, maybe with a couple of acts, maybe with a bit more.
Is this in Barcelona, Ronald?
I think it's in Barcelona, yeah.
You do know that I promised on LinkedIn that our future... I promised that we're going to do an event in Barcelona next year, right?
Good, nice.
I promised that.
Oh, I missed that one,
Alex is super happy with it. He's totally for it. So we can go there.
Maybe time it around Primavera would be nice. No, but I think so. For that to work, you need to be able to really digitize movement of singers, guitar players, artists, and performing artists. And I think I saw a video a couple of days ago of some company that was like deep into that, and they just launched. Do you know that?
Well, what I do know is that Manus VR, which by the way we work with Manus VR as well for the hand mocap, they released a new set of gloves that are specifically usable for really high precision movement. So for artists, for musicians, or for DJs, where it's really important if you want to see what they're doing on the turntables or how they play the guitar, that is absolutely essential. So they released a new hand mocap stuff for that, so that you can actually do that. And we work with Manus VR, so in fact we've reached out to them to see if we can get our hands on these new handsets. Daniel, I think, is on that. Just like we've also made a brand new deal with Xsense Movella, to always get the best of their stuff going forward. Because that's another thing that we're using. And all of this, as far as it's available and we can get it up and running before the MET-AMS festival, hopefully we'll be able to showcase some of it in the virtual event. So no promises. Cool. Don't. I didn't promise anything. Just saying, this is my disclaimer. But we always try to under-promise, over-deliver. But usually I end up, just teasing people with a lot of stuff at some point. Cool. You will get open stage events. Yeah, what I wanted to say about that, festivals and VR festivals, it's super secular, right? I'm reading every day on LinkedIn from Kees Klomp, which is a Dutch professor, about, how we need to save the planet and how going into a secular economy is going to be super important. Well, nothing's more secular than the metaverse.
Bold statement. Bold statement. Here, should I do the thing where people say like, no, but crypto takes a lot of energy? Can I do that? No.
You're really good at this. Yeah, but that's nonsense. Crypto, it takes a lot of energy compared to what?
No, yeah, I mean, I would agree.
Compared to the energy we use for producing meat.
But what do you think a generator at Lowlands costs to just run the lights?
Exactly.
Like Lowlands Festival.
Yes, and what does it use? It guzzles diesel.
Oh. Yeah, you're right. So
I think we covered that topic. Oh, there's somebody in the chat I need to say hi to. It's Brian Prinzy. We need a way to experience smells in the metaverse for group cookouts.
It's one of the last. What is the zintuigen? What is zintuigen in English?
Your senses.
One of the last senses to capture, right? Together with real touch, like.
Well, on the CSS this year, is that CSS? Consumer Electronics? No, CES. CES this year, Consumer Electronics Expo in Vegas. They actually had this device which you hang on your VR headset, and it hangs on your chest here, and it has about 6 holes in it, and each hole can produce a different smell. So it's not exactly like the full spectrum of smells in the world, but they could, do different combinations of smells that you can experience in a virtual experience. So, funny enough, they're already working on this. And I also saw multiple articles in the last 2 weeks that they actually made an add-on for a headset that plugs in the headset here, and it uses infrared or something to project at your lips, so that you can feel like stuff with your lips, so you could kiss in virtual reality. So I'm not that deep in. To be honest, I think the whole future of the metaverse is haptic. I don't really. You don't believe in the haptic future of the metaverse. I believe that it's going to be more like we see now happening already, like Roblox. Just people on phones, walking around virtual avatars, connecting their wallets. I don't think that's going to be with VR glasses in the end. Maybe for the performers, of course. Of course, it's not going to be with VR glasses. But this is the start of the tech. I mean, look at this, right? First mobile phone that my dad ever brought home was like this big. It was like a brick.
And it needed a car
it was
to
in a
run,
suitcase. Right? And it cost like 20,000 euros, right? That was started in the 90s. And look at this now.
True.
This
True.
has a million times the possibilities and the power, and it fits in my pocket. And the only reason it's this big is because people want to have a big screen. If they didn't want that, it could probably be this big. So imagine if they're starting to work on tech that can give you haptic, feedback on your skin or sense of smell in the metaverse. Right now, it's not practical, but 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, it's going to be a totally different story, I think.
Yeah, well, let me put it another way. How do you see people interacting with the metaverse while combining their lives at home with people at home, right? And right now, what you can do is you're on your phone, whatever, and then someone talks to you. Oh, what? And if you have this thing on your head, you can't even drink from a glass if you have a thing on your head. So yeah, but how do you see that? Well,
okay, so here's the one. I lived in Ireland for several years. I worked for a certain company there. Sorry, inside joke. I'm sure Alex is laughing right now. And the fact was my mom was here in the Netherlands, and so was my dad, and so was my sister. And I only had the opportunity to fly home once every 2 months, right? So the best thing I had, which is already lucky because I live in this day and age, is I could call with them, right? But now imagine that with, I think I have a picture, I have a video of it here, teleportation. They recently used augmented reality teleportation technology to bring scientists to the International Space Station, right? So they were basically there virtually. Now imagine that you can do that. So I'm at home in my house in Ireland. I just put on a pair of glasses that fit really comfortably, snugly. They see my surroundings, so I can walk around my own house, but they project my family members that are in the Netherlands into my field of vision, and I have some sense of haptic feedback. I can perhaps, even smell them, or at least smell the cooking that my mom is doing. That kind of experience. Yes, if you're living with your family, with your kids and your wife, you're not gonna put up with the tech if you don't need to. But this tech can give us the opportunity in the future to cover distances so that we can be closer to the ones we love, the people that we want to interact with, when otherwise we might not have been, or when otherwise the cost, or the carbon footprint flying to the Netherlands or something like that would have been very high. So that's the way I see that.
Yeah, actually, it's a fair point. If you could combine like these experiences and really make them so blurred between each other that you just basically sit in a room and half of the people would be there and half of the people would be somewhere else. That could actually work. Yeah. But then, the glasses need to become smaller, and they are getting smaller.
Have you seen, I hate to say it, but have you seen Cambria? The first pictures of it?
Yeah, I think it's like, no. I read something about it that they now have color pass-through, but I thought it was...
Yeah, they basically look like ski goggles.
Very exciting
They look like ski goggles. They're like this thick.
Right.
Then they have pass-through. So you can turn it off where you can have augmented reality and see everything, or you can turn it on and you have full VR, and it's no longer this thick. It's no longer...
Yeah, one of
like
those.
This.
There's one over here as well, yeah.
It's not like this anymore, but it's actually like, it's
we're
becoming
we're going to be
more
mentioning
like
those things as the Nokias of the... Right? 10 years from now, we're going to be
this
mentioning
those things. This is going to be the future, Ronald. We're going to be... I'm going to be talking to you like this, like, hey, how you doing, man?
It reminds me of a certain character from Star Trek, wasn't it? Like the visor.
Yes.
I see there's now also sunglasses that are just like this.
LaForge.
Polaroid has these full visor things going on. Maybe that's going to be it.
Exactly. Oh, Joachim said, did you guys see Next Mind? It reads the mind, but very slowly. Well, that wouldn't work for me then. But Next Mind.
I didn't see that, but I saw a tech demo a couple years ago where they wired into someone's head and they had like implants in the right place and they could actually produce images that people were thinking. What is this?
This is Next Mind.
It looks horrible, man. Brain-computer interface decodes neural activity in real time. Yeah, so that's kind of the same thing then, yeah. And then what that did is it was actually visualizing things that people were thinking about on a very rudimentary level, but you could actually recognize stuff. Maybe this is kind of similar, but now it's like...
I need this in my life. I need it, Alex. I need a bonus. I need this.
If he even was listening, now he's certainly no longer listening.
Look, I'll show. Wait, I'm gonna get something. I'm gonna show you something. I can get it. This? Okay, right. You see what this is? This
I don't see anything. I just see this app.
Oh shit. Oh yeah,
for the
sorry.
next
My
mind
bad.
brain
My
thing.
bad. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so this, right? What are they even called? I forgot the name. So this is like it's like a wristband. I bought this on a Kickstarter. I had 2 of them. So you slip them around your wrist, like your arm like this.
Yes.
And they actually read your muscles. So you can, like, you know how you can have a presenter for Logitech presenter for when you're doing a keynote. So if you use this, I can just do hand movement. So I can do this.
Right.
Or
that's
this
like the
to
musical
switch
instrument
slides.
that's now getting there. There's
Yes.
also in artists, they're getting a musical instrument where they held something in their hand. And if they change their hand, then their voice is pitched to an octave higher or lower. There's some artists performing with it now on YouTube.
Mayo gesture control handband. So I had 2 of these. I gave one away and I never got it back. I borrowed it. But the thing is, I bought these and I thought it was amazing. And I hate to say this, but I only used them 3 times in in 10 years. Or, I don't know, 8 years, as long as I've had them. The thing is just that when I bought these, and these were Kickstarters, there was just too many challenges in using them. So I don't know if they still exist. And if they have better versions now. But I don't think it ever really took off. Because if you look now online for presentation clicker, it doesn't show you any of these devices. It only shows you the traditional button thing. So apparently it just didn't take off.
It also kind of solves a very small use case, right? I mean, if you could at least control it for more expressive things, like I said, like artists singing and changing their voice, or maybe some digital artist changing, I don't know, something on a synthesizer during a performance. You can never have enough inputs for that. But just for clicking through PowerPoint, you just click, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. Whenever you see sci-fi, you always feel like the future is, doing this with everything. And then when actually stuff comes out that makes that possible, nobody uses it.
No one cares. Yeah, true.
All right, cool. Well, I thought we were at the end of this episode about 20 minutes ago, and then we kind of went into down a new rabbit hole, which I love going down rabbit holes. But we've been talking for 50 minutes, and we did agree that this podcast should be around an hour. So it's time to kind of round up. So let's see what's up this week. We always do a little look ahead for the channel, of course. So this week we're gonna have a roundtable session on governments. So that's next Tuesday. Is that correct, Ronald? It's on Tuesday, right?
I'm not sure, actually. Maybe.
I'm pretty sure it's on Tuesday. Yes. Wait, is this even correct? Because it also still talks about... I think this is correct. So for those of you, I feel horrible, but my intern Nicola is off one day. It's total chaos. It's total chaos, literally. Like, I have no idea whether this script is actually correct. But yeah, roundtable session on Tuesday in Metaverse Exploring Group, of course. So once a month we have a roundtable, and every Tuesday we have, of course, or every Wednesday, every week there's a Metaverse Exploring Group, which I highly recommend joining sometime. It's super interesting. But the roundtables are definitely the best events. So there's another roundtable this Tuesday about governance, and particularly the importance of the topic for the metaverse. Well, that kind of made sense. Kind of guessed that. It says here that, and this is something we announced last week, was that we were going to do a meetup in Amsterdam with MetaMundo on the 20th of May. However, due to unforeseen circumstances at the MetaMundo headquarters and the other sponsor, Straightfire, being busy with a virtual fashion event, AFS, I think it was, we've decided to move this live event to June. So it's gonna take place at the end of June. So I don't know the exact date right now. Although I can give it a guess, it's probably gonna be Friday the 24th of June, I think. Friday the 24th is most likely. But I'll let you know. I'll let you guys know, or anybody watching next week. So that's it for now. Ronald, thank you so much for being an amazing co-host this week.
Thank you for having me.
It's been... Oh, I wanted to... This is my wrap-up window, but now there's no Ronald. It feels kind of bad. Maybe I'm just gonna go back. Okay. So, yeah. If you guys enjoyed this, if you guys enjoyed this episode, if you guys enjoyed State of the Metaverse so far, please make sure that you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure that you give us a like on Spotify or Apple iTunes if you're on there. We could use that. I want to get as many likes on there as possible. Currently, I think we're at 0. So any of you that are watching this right now, please go over to Spotify and iTunes and give us a star there. Subscribe on YouTube. Say hello in the Telegram chat if you're there. And if you have any ideas for speakers or topics for the state of the metaverse, make sure that you let us know in the comments. We look forward to it, and I promise you I will personally look into it to see if we can make that happen. Thank you so much. And that's it for this week, and see you next week.
Tank, load us up.
Ronald is very silent, and I'm looking for this button.
What, the mute button?
There it is. There it is. You can't hear it.
What is it?
Especially
Are you rickrolling everyone again?
I had to rickroll the audience. I always do. Bye, everybody.